Hello. Didn't work. Hello. Hi. So if you're at the back, come and sit down. Next week, I'll have been on stage for 36 years. I started in May of 1983. Roughly speaking, this is my 5,000th speech, and it's going to be great. I have a rule that I ask questions, you answer them. I tell jokes, you laugh. Keep up the energy. Is that a good deal? Okay, so let's start with the bad news. How much do you earn? And the answer is nowhere near enough. $49,000 a year is not enough to pay off your credit cards each month. It's not enough to go on luxurious vacations. It's just not enough. And if you, unfortunately, are earning more than $49,000, I say unfortunately, because that means some poor slob has to earn less than $49,000 to make up for you. So it's just nowhere near enough. Canada's just not doing well enough. And I want to know if you're ready for a change. Yes, you want to do better than that? Yes, you want to be in the top 1%? Yes. Good. Do you have any idea what the top 1% earns? No, but thanks for replying. The answer is $300,000 a year. And I know what you're thinking. You're saying, oh my God, how will I get up that high? I'll have to hurt people and step on people. And what I say is, how do they go to work every single day and keep their income under $300,000 a year? How the heck do you do that? I blow past that by the 3rd or 4th week of January each year. But I actually was broke way back then. And I learned how to do it. And I'm going to be teaching you how to do it. Is that exciting? Yes. By the way, before I launch into it, Grant Cardone is coming to Toronto. Don't miss that. Don't miss that. So Sunil, where are you? He's not here. I gave him airtime. He's not here. Okay, put up your hand if you want $300,000 a year. All right, good. So you might say, okay, smarty pants, what's your income? And I won't tell you, but I'll tell you the best thing that I ever did. I earned $1 million in 90-minute speech. Yeah, thank you. Sunil, I gave you airtime and you weren't in the room. Yeah. I said you're an amazing promoter. Toronto should be happy to have you. Bringing Grant Cardone here is a miracle. Make sure you buy tickets for his event.
Thank you.
All right, so if you don't have this thing that I'm going to be talking to you about, which is very, very specific, which will dramatically increase your income, if you don't have this thing, then life will seem unfair to you. So you must climb the 4-rung ladder of wealth. How many rungs? 4. Okay, make sure you write this down, because I don't want you to wake up tomorrow morning and say, how do you get rich again? This is your opportunity. So the first thing you need is visibility. If you want wealth, don't go for wealth. You go for visibility. Every single person who's wealthier than you is more visible than you. Every single person who's wealthier than you is more visible than you. Some of you are still getting your notebooks out. How many times can I repeat it before you get your notebooks out? Visibility means they know you, but they also have to like you. That's credibility. Every single person who's wealthier than you has more credibility than you. But here's the good news. If you have visibility and credibility, you can't stop the wealth from coming in. If you have visibility and credibility, you cannot stop the wealth from coming in. So how many rungs did I promise? 4. How many did I deliver? 3. Somebody said 2. I graduated as a mathematician. I'm not sure how to handle that. So there is actually another rung, and I'm going to tell it to you, but it's in the wrong direction. It's in the dark side. It's invisibility. 97% of Canadians are completely invisible. Invisible means you lose your job, you do 2 things. You update your resume, and then you send your resume. I want you to fill in the last word of the sentence. You send your resume to total strangers. If you know that word, you're invisible. Only invisible people know that word. If you know that word, your income is way lower than it should be. It's because you're doing I don't want to say one thing wrong, but there's one thing that you're not doing. One thing. How many things? One thing. If it was 50 things, you say, oh, it's too tough. But it's how many things? One. Just one thing. One thing. So are you prepared to do that one thing?
Yes.
You're not even sure what it is, but you're... Okay, good. Good. So, where do you earn more money, at the top or the bottom? Top, good. Where do you want to be, top or bottom? Top. Then you must take one step at a time. Because it's a ladder. If you try to take 2 steps, you'll fall off. However, I've created the only 2-step. And fortunately, it starts from invisibility, because that's where you are. And because it's the 2-step, it gobbles up visibility and credibility all at once. But you also know that if you have visibility and credibility, you cannot stop the wealth. Can you just pretend you heard my instructions, that I ask questions and you answer them? Because if you don't, I just have to repeat it till you answer. Because if I didn't need your response, I could speak to an empty room. It's just not that much fun. So I haven't felt the love yet. See, here's the deal. I get you rich, you entertain me. I haven't felt the love yet, so let's try it again. Yeah, good. Thanks for faking it. So if you have visibility and credibility, you cannot stop the wealth from coming in. Excellent. This is the little-known way to make way, way more money. It's the most brilliant idea I've ever come up with in my whole life. Get ready for it. Here it is. You must have your own book. You must have your own book. Every single person on stage has their own book. Nobody wants you on stage unless you've had your own book. Anytime I get introduced, the introducer always says, and now Raymond Aaron, all the way from Toronto, Canada, New York Times top 10 best-selling author. They apparently don't care that I've helped 1,000 people become millionaires. They don't care that I've helped tens of thousands of people increase their net worth by hundreds of thousands of dollars. They don't care about anything except what's the title of your darn book. So if that's what they want, you better give it to them. Because that's the secret. You must be branded. Now there's 4 ways to get branded. How many? 4. I'm going to teach you all 4 later today. And then you choose the one that suits your needs best. Because when you're branded, money comes to you. When you're branded, money comes to you. When you're unbranded, you struggle for every buck. I asked my dear friend, Dr. John Gray, he wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, Kids Are From Hell. I said, if you could change one thing in your illustrious life, what would it be? And he said, I'd rather have a book than a PhD. I said, why? He said, call up a radio station and say, I have a PhD, do you want to interview me? No. But call up a radio station and say, I wrote the book on men-women relationships. I wrote the book on oral health. I wrote the book on Pilates. I wrote the book on getting rich in real estate. I wrote the book on becoming a billionaire. Whatever your shtick is. I wrote the book on great sex. Anything, whatever you know about, that's what you write about. And when you write about it, people will be stunned. People will salute you. People will look at you differently. It's a shocking experience. Shocking experience. Having a book means you can indeed aim higher. Money will come to you. Opportunities of all kinds will come to you. Income, media appearances, patients, clients, investors, joy of all kinds will come to you when you are branded. Now I'm going to do something special. I live in Toronto. I was born in Toronto. I'm a proud Canadian. I've lived in Toronto all my life. And the first 39 years of my life were a complete disaster. Complete disaster. And then I changed one thing. How many things? One. And then I've led the life of luxury. So with my own life as a testimonial, I'm going to actually show you how bad it was. And then I'm going to tell you how many things did I change? One, I'm going to tell you the one thing that I changed, and then I'm going to, like if I changed 5 things, then you wouldn't know what did it. I changed how many? One thing, so that was it. So here we go. When I was born, I was broke. Maybe some of you have had that same experience. And then I got a job I didn't particularly like, so I took it out on a substance. And my substance of abuse was food. I got very, very fat. And then, because I wasn't doing a good job and didn't like my job, I got fired. I went home and told my wife that I got fired. She dumped me out of our marriage. And, you know, I don't blame her. Getting fired and divorced on exactly the same day are just extreme forms of market research. And what the marketplace was telling me is that I was doing everything wrong. Nutritionally, fat, vocationally, fired, matrimonially dumped, and I haven't even told you the bad news. The bad news is I was depressed. I was a 39-year-old life loser, $100,000 in debt. 39-year-old life loser, $100,000 in debt. That's a life of caca. So that's a Jewish word, but you can probably figure out what it means. And how did that happen? How did that happen? I'm a really smart guy. The previous two speakers boasted about how dumb they were and how they couldn't figure things out. I'm the other way. I'm like a genius. Like, not just compared to them, I really am a genius. I'm rated as a genius in mathematics. I graduated in physics, one of the youngest graduates of the School of Physics in the entire 200-year history of the University of Toronto. I graduated at 19. And my IQ is so high that I've been admitted to Mensa, top 2% of IQ in the entire world. And I say that not to boast. Thank you. One person appreciated it. I say it to put myself down, because with all my IQ, I produced this crap life. And I saw all my stupid friends were rich, and all my genius physics professor friends were all broke. I figured, what the heck's going on? How come I can't figure it out? How come they can't figure it out? What's going on? And the turning point of my life came when I said, Raymond, figure it out. You got a physics degree, figure it out. So I said, okay, number one, God doesn't gamble. He doesn't say when people are born, okay, broke, really broke, billionaire. Like, he doesn't just gamble. So there's something that you must be doing or not doing that creates your wealth or your brokenness. Does that make sense to you? Yes. Okay. So I said, well, okay, maybe I got the wrong religion. I said, not Jewish. Like, everybody thinks Jews are rich. It's not true, but it's a great brand. And I said, skin color. You're not even allowed to say skin color in Canada. No, there's black and orange and blue people of all colors who are rich or broke. There's people of all religions, people of all heights, genders. I couldn't figure it out. And then somebody said to me, book. I said, that's stupid. It can't be book. It has to be something about you, about the inside of you. But I tried it. So I listed all my neighbors, all my friends, all my relatives. And then I ticked off the ones that had a book. No book, 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 no book. And I didn't know any rich people. But I wrote down, like Warren Buffett. I just wrote down rich people that I'd heard of. Sir Richard Branson. Book, 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 book. No book, 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 no book. I said, hey man, I want to be in that group. So I said, maybe I'll write a book. So I just came up with that idea. I didn't know if it would work. But in physics, what you do is you make a hypothesis, which is a technical term for a guess, and then you try it, and if it works, you were right. And if it doesn't work, you try something else and don't publish that. And so here's what I did. I realized that everyone who's rich had a book, and everyone who struggles doesn't have a book. So I decided to write a book. And I didn't have good guidance back then, but I did know one thing for sure, and that is you're supposed to write a book about something that you know about. Does that make sense? Yes, I figured I'll write this book. How to Become a 39-year-old Life Loser, 7 Proven Techniques. I said, I've got all the skills to do that, but I decided it's probably the wrong brand. So I wrote this book, You Can Make $1 million in Canadian Real Estate. And my mom who had, like, mothers have one job this lifetime, love their kid. The kid can be an axe murderer, the mom finds a way to love the kid. And meanwhile, my mom had given up on me. From age 19 to age 39, I'd lost at everything. Every business went under. I never went bankrupt, but every business I had to close the doors and was horribly in debt, and I had to pay off the debt and then quit my job and start another business. It was just pathetic. So I figured at age 39, I'd say, Ma, I wrote a book. Like, my mom has to like me. She said, why do you have a broken picket fence across the bottom? I said, Mom, those are houses. I drew them myself. She said, son, you could have drawn better houses when you were 4. Anyways, what happened to me? The next 5 seconds of what I say, you will never forget for the rest of your life. If we bumped into each other accidentally 20 years from now, the next 5 seconds are going to be the only thing you remember from this presentation. Are you ready? Yes. I expect a giant wow when I finish this 5 second. Are you ready? Yes. Pay strict attention. From age 39 to age 40, in one solid year, starting from unemployed, I paid off $100,000 of debt, the first time I was out of debt in my entire adult life. And then in one more year, from age 39 to age 40, I became a millionaire and I've never looked back. That's my story. Put up your hand if you'd like a story like that. Well, I've got great news for you. My clients are getting there faster than me. Because the guy who helped me when I was 39 is nowhere near as good as I am. I'm really good. I'm really good at helping you write a book. I'm really, really good at branding you so that money comes to you. Money comes to you. So come into my life. How many things did I change?
1.
Exactly. So come into my life now. My dearest friend is Jack Canfield. He's the co-creator of the entire Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And this is not a selfie. This is Jack and me go on vacation twice a year. Twice a year, we're best friends. We're in Croatia there on a cruise ship. And Robert Allen, the greatest real estate teacher of all time, I think you can see me in this picture. It's very embarrassing. The stage is for me, the shortest guy in the room. Les Brown, a dear friend. Stedman Graham. Let me say something about this picture. This is also embarrassing. What this picture seems to indicate is that at least for Oprah, size matters. I'm just saying. Anyways, I was so embarrassed, and he's such a good sport, that I asked him if I could take another picture. He said, sure. So I ran around the hotel to find a stool. He's still half a head taller than me. It didn't work. Rudy Giuliani, the greatest mayor of all time. Bob Proctor, the grandfather of the entire personal growth industry, and a dear friend of mine and a neighbor. Sir Richard Branson, have you noticed that when I introduce you to my friends, a book drops down? That's a question. I'll try it again. Have you noticed that when I introduce you to a friend, a book drops down? Yes. Have you noticed when you go visit a friend of yours, books don't drop down? Did you notice that? Brian Tracy. Brian Mulroney, Prime Minister of Canada. Steve Wozniak, the only living co-founder of Apple Computers. Dr. John Gray, the rapper Ice-T. Bill Clinton. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Robert Kiyosaki, the greatest wealth teacher of all time. And best of all, Shrek. Even Shrek has a book, if you're getting my message. So, get your camera ready, please. People always want to take picture of the next slide. Get your camera ready. I'm only going to leave it up for a few seconds. So here's the deal. It's not what you know. And no, it's not who you know. It's who knows you. It's who knows you. I'm leaving it up for a few seconds. Take a picture of it. It's really important. It's who knows you. The most famous people in the world know me. Did they know me when I was 39? No. Do they want to know me when I was 39? No. What's the one thing that's changed? I wrote a book. I wrote a book. See, you think it's weird to write a book because nobody you know has written a book. However, I want you to look at life from my friend's point of view. I averaged all my friends, and the average is 8 books each. So my friends have written 8 books. I've written 11. Actually, when I averaged it, I'd only written 6. And my friends had written 8, so I kind of struggled to catch up. And now I'm pulling up their average, so it's great. Now, when one of my friends, on average, has written 8 books, happens to meet you, they talk to you to see what value you can add to their life. When they find out you haven't written a book, they imagine that you have nothing to say. And if you have nothing to say, why should they listen to you? They imagine you have nothing to say. You see, all my friends have written books. I don't have a friend who hasn't written a book. I don't have a single friend who hasn't written a book. Jack Canfield, for example, has written 243 bestsellers, but he admits he's an overachiever. So when somebody, a friend of mine, the only friends they have written books, When they meet you, they think you're weird. They think you're below grade. They think you don't count because you haven't written a book. So I just want you to know what life is like from the branded side. When a branded person looks at you, they're not impressed. Now, I'm not putting you down. I'm just telling you what the reality is. When people are branded, they look at you and they're not impressed. They won't do business with you. They won't sign on the dotted line. They won't join your network marketing program. They won't list their home with you because they imagine you're just average. Now, you're wonderful. You're a wonderful person, but you pretend you're average by not being branded. You just pretend that you're average. Now, if there's some low self-esteemers who say, oh, I can't write a book, I don't know anything, give me a break. I've been doing this for almost a decade. I've helped people of the lowest self-esteem imaginable write a book. I've helped little kids, 9 years old, who have 0 life experience. How much life experience can a 9-year-old have? He is a boy in Mississippi. He wrote the book on snakes. He knows 9 snakes. It's a thin book. But for the rest of his life, he can say, I wrote a book when I was 9. And it was internationally published. I'm a Canadian. He's in Mississippi, so it's... Anyway, do you get it? Yes. Do you like it? Yes. Do you like me? Yes. Are you excited? Yes. Can I keep going? Yes. You have to solve 4 problems before you can write a book. Make sure you get these down. Problem number 1 is the forward scandal. Forward is not a direction, forward versus backward. Forward is a 1-page letter written by a celebrity at the beginning of your book. Put up your hand if you're familiar with the forward. Okay, good. So the problem is that celebrities charge as much as $500,000 for a forward. And that's a scam. It's not illegal, but it's scuzzy. It's not nice. See, if I said I wrote a book on business, you'd say, wow. Then if I said, Sir Richard Branson wrote the foreword, you'd say, wow! But if I paid for it, it ruins the whole thing. And so people who pay for it hide the fact they paid for it. You live in shame, it's yucky. So there's a surprise test coming up. I want you to do well on it. There are 3 questions. I'm going to give you the 3 questions on the surprise test. You must have a foreword. It must be written by a celebrity, but you cannot pay for it. Got it? Okay, so we're going to have a review. You must have a foreword. Can you just pretend you're excited? You must have a foreword. It must be written by a celebrity, but you cannot pay for it. Very good. You'll do well on the surprise test. The second problem is the publishing problem. What broke people do is they spend years writing a book. They make 100 copies. They trot it around to 100 publishers, and 100 publishers say no. That's what broke people do. They can't take a chance on doing anything correctly. That's how they can have an unblemished track record of staying broke all the time. Like, broke people aren't rich every occasional Wednesday. So they have to do everything wrong to make sure that they never happen to get rich. Now, rich people aren't afraid. Rich people often get wiped out. I've been wiped out twice. I just earn it back. If a jogger trips, he doesn't give up jogging. He just dusts himself off and keeps jogging. So when you're branded, you can just earn it back any time you wish. Here's my rule. Don't you dare start writing your book until you have a publisher. Don't you dare start writing your book until you have a publisher. Would it be nice to have a publisher before you even start writing a book? Yes. Yes. Can you just pretend you're excited? Yes. Maybe you need a joke. Man comes home and says to his wife, do you love me? She says, yeah. He says, will you always love me? She says, yeah. He says, even in this recession, if I get wiped out and lose everything, will you still love me? She says, yeah. I'll miss you, though. Keep up that level of excitement. Let's have some fun in here. The third problem is the official book launch. Every movie has a world premiere, and every book should have an official book launch. I wrote a New York Times top 10 best-selling book, Chicken Soup for the Parent Soul, and I did not get a book launch. I've written a #1 Canadian bestseller. I did not get a book launch. I've even written a For Dummies book, Branding Small Business for Dummies. I'm the only person in the world who's ever written a book in the For Dummies series and in the Chicken Soup series. Wow! Thought I'd help you there instead of getting disappointed. And so, you need hundreds of people in the room and it has to be very exciting. It's typically quite expensive. It's a room much larger than this, and it might cost you $10,000 or $20,000. The author pays for it, so please write a note. When you're negotiating your contract with the publisher, see how much of the book launch the publisher will pay for. When you're negotiating your contract with a publisher, see how much of the official book launch expenses the publisher will pay for. It's usually nothing. They usually won't pay anything. But you need it. Every movie has a world premiere. You need it. You don't want your book to whimper out. You want your book to explode out. And the fourth one is you must end procrastination. When people say, I've got a book inside me, everyone else says, yeah, right. When people say, I've had a book inside me for 20 years, they say, yeah, please. Most of the people who say, I'm writing a book aren't. Or they're hoping, but it's never coming out. Now, I want to know, if you decide to write a book, do you want it to actually come out, yes or no? Yes. Yes, okay, good. Then you need to end procrastination. And the way I do it is I've created a job description called My Personal Book Architect. And it's a gal that I've hired in Toronto, and I've trained her. And when I want to write another book, I've written 11 books now, and I am co-authoring my 12th book right now as we speak with Jack Canfield called The Power of Wow. The Power of Wow. And I'm actually bringing Jack to Toronto next month in order to talk about the power of wow. So when I want to write a book, I don't sit down at a keyboard and go tap, 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 tap. What I do is I call my personal book architect and I say, I'm writing another book, and she says, that book will come out on time no matter what. I say, great, until I realize I taught her to say that. But she knows exactly how much to push me, but not too much, and my books come out on time, every one of them. Put up your hand if you'd like to have a personal book architect helping you. Okay, good, good. And I never want you to be without problems. And so I promised you 4 problems, but I'm actually going to deliver 5. Isn't that warm and fuzzy? And here it is. Never join any program unless the guru himself is willing to personally teach you in a follow-up workshop. Never, ever join a program unless the guru himself is willing to personally teach you in a follow-up workshop. You see, it's easy on stage to say something, have you think something, but the speaker didn't actually promise it. And so what's going on these days is not very nice. The speaker will talk wonderfully about his program, and then when you actually purchase it, you find out it's just some downloads, but there's nobody helping you. Certainly not the speaker, he's off selling more people. So make sure you get that down, make sure you follow that rule. So, I've talked about the difference between branding, being branded and being not branded. So what is the difference? What is the borderline? And the borderline is when someone says wow about you, you're branded. When someone says wow about you, you're branded. And you've learned small talk. Broke people have taught you that small talk is good. So you say dumb things like, see the game last night? Boy, bad traffic. Oh, this is the warmest day so far this year. The parking lot was jammed. I had to walk right from the other end, and my hip, not so good. When you do that nonsense small talk, nobody says wow. Nobody says wow. They're bored to tears. And then they tell you they're bored to tears issues, and nobody says wow. Nobody says wow. But when you say the 8 words, I am the author of the upcoming book, and then you add to that on sex, on real estate, on getting rich, on dancing, on whatever your shtick is, everyone says the same 3-letter word. What is it? Wow. Wow. And that means you're branded. Every wealthy person and every successful company is branded. How many ways are there to get branded? 4. It's a slow reaction. But you got there eventually. I had to help you. So I'm going to teach you all 4 ways right now, and then you choose the way that suits your needs the best. Does that make sense? You ready for it? Okay, so how many ways am I going to show you? 4. How many are you going to choose? 1. Okay, here we go. Technique number 4 is branding by association. Branding by association. So that means, who do you hang with? Who are your buddies? Well, I showed you a picture of me with about 50 of the most famous people in the entire world. When I showed you those pictures, did you feel better about me or worse about me? Better. Because I didn't boast about it. I just said, here's some of my friends. I go on vacation with them. I have their cell phone numbers in my iPhone. But you may not have famous author colleagues. So that's not available to you. It's okay. There's still 3 left. Don't lose hope yet. There's lots of time later to lose hope. Number 3, branding my testimonial. Listen to this rule. A testimonial cannot be by one of your clients. Cannot be. It's a mistake that every single merchant makes. Oh my gosh, you changed my life, you're amazing. Mary McGregor. Well, who the hell's Mary McGregor? Could be his mother, could be the next door neighbor. Who the heck is it? If people don't know the name of the testimonial giver, it doesn't count. You could have made it up. It has to be, and no one's ever taught you this, it has to be from a famous person. It has to be from a famous person. And if you don't know any famous people, you can't do it. So let's see what I've done. Have you heard of Robert Kiyosaki? Yeah, good. So his most famous book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But what I love best is his second book, Cash Flow Quadrant. Put up your hand if you've heard of Cash Flow Quadrant. Yeah, I like that one much, much better. And here's what Robert Kiyosaki says about me. I thank Raymond Aaron and his tapes on goal setting for helping me achieve more with less stress. Wow. Is that a wow? So is Kiyosaki a big guy? Is that statement a big statement? When a big guy says a big thing, is that a big deal? How do we know he said that? Because he wrote it on page 187 of his second book. I have a copy of it here. I thank Raymond Aaron and his tape on goal setting for assisting me in achieving more with a lot less stress. Because of that, I've made an extra $8 million over the last 7 years. Because of that, I made an extra $8 million over the last 7 years. Because it's in his book. If he'd said it on Oprah, my phone would have rung off the hook for a day and a half. And then silence again. But because it's in a book, a new 1,000 people read that page every day. Put up your hand if you'd like an extra $8 million to show up on your bank account. Yes, but right now it doesn't because you're not branded. People don't seek you out. Here, let me give you an example. I'm a realtor. And on the day that I graduated, I was with a Remax brokerage, and there was a party and an award ceremony. So I said, wow, this is like the first day I'm a realtor. So I knew nothing. I mean, I passed the exams, but I didn't know anything in practice. So I went to this event, and there was 2 realtors who won the biggest awards, and I saw they were chatting with each other, so I muscled in. I wanted to learn. They knew everything, I knew nothing. We're chatting, and I'm learning, asking them questions, and a lady behind me says, I think I'll list my home for sale. 3 of us trot over, and first guy says, list with me, I'm a realtor. Second one says, list with me, I'm a realtor. I say, I wrote the book on real estate, and she listed with me. I say I wrote the book on real estate, and she listed with me, because she can then tell the difference between me and the other 2. Do you get it? The other 2 were in the sea of sameness. This guy made 0, this guy made 0, I made $40,000. In realtor talk, I double-ended, means I brought the buyer and the seller. So I made $40,000. I knew nothing. Knew lots, earned nothing, knew nothing, earned lots. I made $40,000, they split 0. Wow. And they knew how to do it. I did not know how to do it. I had to call my broker of record saying, what form do I use to list the property? Am I supposed to do it in inches, centimeters? Help, I don't know. She sends somebody over to help me measure the bedrooms. I don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do, and I got $40,000. They did know what to do, and they got nothing. It's not the person who knows how to do it, it's the person who's branded. So let's say you just moved to Toronto, and this was a seminar on how to make it in Toronto. So you have all come from somewhere else in the world. And I said, okay, look, you need a dentist. So I line up 3 dentists. I said, go ahead, choose one. And you say, I can't. They all look the same. 3 plumbers, anything. Well, listen, if you understand that, if I brought you up here with 2 other people in your same field, whether you are salaried, like applying for a job or hoping to get a raise, or you're in business, if I lined you up with two of your competitors, your prospects would say the same thing about you. You look the same as everyone else in your business. You look the same. You're not branded. I don't want to say you're a nobody, because you're a wonderful person. But to them, you're a nobody. They can't tell the difference. Do you get that? Now, I'm not putting you down. What I'm putting down is the ugliness that you decided to earn way less than you should. You've decided, my friend James McNeil said, I'm going to try to quote you, oh my gosh. I don't know what you said. But you made a point that you are more abundant than you're behaving. Something like that? Yeah, you actually are more abundant, you're wiser, you're cleverer than you are currently behaving. And one reason is you're not branded. So you stand up and puff your chest and people say, who cares? You look like all the other dentists or all the other plumbers. They can't tell the difference. And that's not what I want for you. Because I lived 39 years without anyone knowing who I was. No matter what I tried, I couldn't make it. But you may not have great testimonials. Certainly you may not have a testimonial from a famous person. So this doesn't apply to you. You've blown two ways. Your hope is diminishing. But don't give up. Branding technique number 2 is branding by achievement. So, like, were you recently the mayor of Toronto? Did you recently win an Olympic gold medal, break a world record, Nobel Peace Prize? Just, no? Well, let me see what I've done. I've been in the Canadian Who's Who every single year for 35 years in a row, never missing a single year. Wow. Wow. And in every single one of those years, I've been on the very first page, though that's mostly for alphabetical reasons. I'm internationally syndicated as a radio talk show host. The closest one to us is AM 640 Talk Radio Toronto. And you can be on radio and television too, but only if you've written a book, as Bao found out. We need sound. We need sound. We don't have the little thing connecting in here. Do you have sound? Yeah. Left side. That's it. I'm so excited. Can you run over to the board to make sure it's going to work? Here it comes. It's going to work. Are you ready? Perfect.
Hello, my name is Bao Tran. I am the author of the book on foreclosures. I got so many customers. Without a book, I could not reach that much people. I appear on TV. I appear on real estate workshop. I am who I am today because I got the book and made the right decision. Raymond Aaron is amazing.
Wow. After each testimonial, you need to say wow. So let's practice that. Wow. Put up your hand if you've heard of the movie The Secret. There were only 40 teachers chosen to be filmed for that movie, and I was one of them. I would never even stoop to say on stage that Oprah wasn't chosen, that Tony Robbins wasn't chosen, that Brian Tracy wasn't chosen, that Robert Allen wasn't chosen, but Raymond was chosen. Would never even say such a thing. But those are some of my giant credentials, and in real estate, I have purchased over 1,100 pieces of real estate across Canada, mostly in Alberta, British Columbia, and Ontario. That's $500 million of buying and selling in today's currency. Wow. So do I have credentials? Do I have achievements? Yes, but you may not. You got one left, man. You got one left. You're hanging on by some fingernails, and your fingernails are getting darn sore. You're hoping to God that number 1 works for you. Well, let's see. Branding technique number 1 is branding by wow. When someone says wow about you, you are branded. And every single time they say wow about you after that, your brand gets shinier and shinier and shinier. And what is the easiest wow? To tell someone you wrote a book. Absolutely. That you wrote a book. That's the only one that applies to you. That's the one you need to use. Why? Because here's a wall. And on the bad side of the branding wall is the 97% of Canadians and Americans and Brits and Aussies and Kiwis who are not branded. For them, life is tough. For them, you have to grab low-hanging fruit because that's all the fruit there is. For them, clients are fickle. For them, clients will leave you just to save a buck somewhere else. And that's what you think life is. Life isn't that. Unbranded life is like that, but since that's all the people you know, you think that's what life is. On the good side of the branding wall, money comes to you. Money comes to you. Money pours in. I get phone calls from countries I've never heard of. Slovenia, where on earth is Slovenia? The guy says, I've heard about you. I want you to speak. I said, I'm busy that weekend. I said, will you take one of my trainers? He's just as good, just as funny, just as short. They said, no. We want you. We'll pay you $100,000. We won't pay your trainer $5,000. We don't want your trainer. We want you. I said, why me? Who the heck in Slovenia knows about me? I said, oh, you'd be surprised. You're branded. You're branded. We want you. In Slovenia? I'd never heard of it. And I'm known in Slovenia, $100,000. Like, who knew? I've spoken in South Africa and Singapore, Kuala Lumpur. I've spoken all over the world. And the reason is I'm branded. They want me. They want me. Before, when I was 39 or younger, I was the same as everybody else. I had credentials, Mensa IQ, physics degree, like I could boast and yell from the top of the rooftops, but nobody seemed to notice. Nobody seemed to care. Nobody wanted to throw money at me. I was the master of ceremonies at the largest event in England, the largest business event in England's history. There was about 15,000 people. It was 4 days. I was the master of ceremonies from 8 in the morning till 11 at night for 4 days so that on the final day I could introduce Bill Clinton. Wow. Yes, and an hour before the end of the event, an hour before, the host came up to me and said, Bill Clinton hasn't signed a speaker agreement and he won't answer his cell phone. I don't know if he'll be here. Then he said, but don't worry, we found somebody else. I said, are you freaking nuts? If they came for Bill Clinton, there's no one else. Like, I'm not saying Bill Clinton is the greatest guy and he did have an affair. Like, I understand all that. But nevertheless, put your politics aside. He is a dazzling speaker and he's a gigantic draw. He's the president of the United States. There is no one. You could get Oprah. You could get the Dalai Lama. You can get the Pope. It's not Bill Clinton. If they came for Bill Clinton, don't bring in Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's branded, but he's not branded like Bill Clinton. If you came for Bill Clinton, there is no substitute. Do you understand that? Yes. But if you just want any speaker on real estate, if you just want any speaker on personal growth, then any speaker will do. And that's why any speaker earns little. That's why any plumber earns little. That's why any dentist earns little. If you're not branded, you struggle. And when you're branded, they throw money at you. Put up your hand if you'd like to have that experience. Now, if you don't have that experience, you could legitimately say, I don't believe him. I understand that. If you don't believe me, you get to live in the unbranded side and struggle. That's okay. That's your choice. And if you choose to do it my way, you'll experience money flowing at you, as some of my testimonials will show you. It took me 4 years to write Chicken Soup for the Parent Soul. It earned me the right to claim that I'm a New York Times top 10 best-selling author. I get a royalty check every quarter, and my very first royalty check for that book was $100,000.
Wow.
And then I spent another 4 years and wrote Chicken Soup for the Canadian Soul, and it was important for 3 reasons. Jack called me and said I was the most famous Canadian he knew, so he gave me the honor. And it was important because it was the first national chicken soup book ever attempted. It was important because it was the #1 best-selling nonfiction book in Canada every week for 6 months after its release. But most important, it was important because Americans found out the Canadians had a soul. So it's a very important book, and it also took me 4 years, and my very first royalty check was also $100,000. Can you make a lot of money with books? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And then I got the nod to write Branding Small Business for Dummies, which is a huge honor to be in the 2 largest nonfiction branded series in the entire world. But I did something special. As a physicist, I have been trained to study. And I looked at all the books I'd written, and I looked at all the activities that I did to write each book. And then what I did is I mapped which activity, how many pages. Well, that one didn't produce any pages. This one didn't produce any pages. This produced about a page. And then at the top, this activity produced like almost all the pages of the book. So I said, well, why don't I wash away and just throw in the garbage all the activities that I think you're supposed to do, but didn't produce any pages. So who cares if I did them? It was revolutionary. And I asked some of my friends who'd written many books, do you do these things? They said, of course you have to. I said, well, if you have to, I'm going to do it the other way. And so I did only those activities that produced the most number of pages. And do you think it took me less time or more time to write this book? Less time. Well, you're going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked at how long it took. When the fireworks die down and you find out how long it took me to write this book, you will scream, wow. Are you ready? Okay, here are the fireworks. They're dying down. Here it comes. Wow! 10 hours. 10 hours. Now the room just divided itself into two groups. One group just said, you can't write a book in 10 hours. It's certainly not a good book. No. So I have a special gift for those people who just said that in their head. You can take 20 hours, no extra charge. I wrote a book, I got rich. You want rich? Write a book. Have I mentioned that? But not in 1 to 4 years, not in 6 months. The giant breakthrough is you can write a book in 10 hours. In 10 hours. Put up your hand if you'd like to write a book really fast. A good book. Good. As Lisa found out, she's a Canadian, and we all know, she lives right here in Toronto, we all know it's tough for Canadians to break into the US market. Watch. Leave the volume up.
Hi everybody, I'm Lisa Phillips, author of the book The Artistic Edge, and I just wanted to share some amazing things that happened to me since my book was published. Within the first 3 months, I was published in the Washington Post 3 times, and I was able to get a keynote speaking gig in the US at the Tennessee Arts Commission, where my speaking fee was $5,000. I've had so many more incredible things happen, from blog posts, conferences, articles, and also having my book being used as a teaching tool for school boards all across the US. So thank you so much, Raymond, for encouraging me to write my book.
Wow. Wow. You have a book inside of you. It's way past time to get it out. It's way past time for a change. It's way past time to cure invisibility. It's way past time to climb the ladder of wealth. It's time to stop struggling. It's time for the goodies of life. It's time to make a lot more money with a book. Very good. As Jim found out. Please leave the volume on.
Hi, my name is Jim Hetherington, and I wrote this book, Your Relationship Rescue Handbook, in the 10-10-10 program. And Raymond said that it was going to change my life, and it really has. Ever since I've written this book, I've been invited to co-author in other books. One is actually published already. I have my second book coming out in the spring. I've been invited to speak on stages. I've been invited to do radio shows and TV shows. I've been invited to go to training events where I teach, and I'm on main stage and training and encouraging other people. It just really has changed my life. I highly encourage you to get involved in the 10-10-10 program. Write a book. Raymond's team is just amazing. Raymond himself is a great mentor, great teacher, has amazing systems that will really help you get this thing through, get it done, get it published, and get out of the sea of sameness.
Wow! And he's never been on stage before and has never taught to a group before, ever, and it all came pouring into him as a result of his book. But here's your lame-ass excuses. This is the most fun part. I don't have the time. Well, according to Wikipedia, the average Canadian watches 11 hours of television a week. That means you could write 52 books this year and still watch your favorite TV show. But I'm bad at English. Your editor makes you look good. You've seen I've had a Vietnamese guy on stage, could barely speak English, on the screen, and I'll show you some others that don't speak English particularly well. Whether English is your second language or you're just bad at spelling, grammar, punctuation, it doesn't matter. Nobody sees your book. Nobody sees your book except your editor. You can write it as badly in terms of punctuation, spelling, and grammar as you wish, and the editor will make it look like an angel wrote it. So none of that, don't worry about that. You need an editor and a formatter. It's not included in my program, even though you need it, because the cost is very small, and I also teach you how you can possibly get it for free. So there's no point to add it if you could get it for free. But I've never written anything before. I expect to win a Nobel Peace Prize for the next sentence. Are you ready? It's going to knock you over. Every single person who has ever sat down to write their very first book has never written a book before. I know! Total wow! But I don't know what to write about. See, if you're a realtor, you do know what to write about. But if you're in a profession and you can't quite figure out what to write about, first of all, I'm really clever at it, and I will personally help you. But second of all, if you don't know what to write about, no one else in your field will either. You'll be the only one with a book. So it's even better if you don't know what to write about. Don't worry that you don't know what to write about. That's my job. I will teach you how to write a book. But it's not, see, other people will teach you how to write a book. I don't teach you how to write a book. I teach you how to write a Jewish book. And let me explain. You know the myth that all Jews are rich? Okay? They're not, but it's a great brand. So I teach you how to write a book that makes you money. So I'm just saying Jewish book as a joke, right? I don't want to offend anyone, but it's, do you get it? It's like funny. God. So I will help you. I'll personally help you make sure you have a great book that makes you money. But I'm just an employee. Then get ready for raises, promotions, and job offers because no one else in the company has written a book. Your boss hasn't written a book. The owner of the company hasn't written a book. But I own a store. People will flood into your store as soon as they find out that you've written a book. But I'm a property investor. Do you know, I bought my own home, and then my wife was a general contractor, but she couldn't get any gigs, so she said, Raymond, her husband, why don't you buy a house and you become my client, and I'll just renovate the house. I said, what do I do with it? She said, I don't know, but I needed some work. So I bought a house, she renovated it, and then we fell in love with it, which you're not supposed to do. And so we found tenants, we put the tenants in it, and she said, I need another house. I said, well, don't look at me. I've already got a mortgage on our home and a mortgage on a rental property. I don't think you're allowed to have more than 2 mortgages. I didn't know anything. It's a long time ago. I didn't know anything. I thought having 2 houses was setting a world record. Really, I didn't really know anything. So I took my book and I autographed it to the loans officer. And I came in and I talked to the loans officer at the Royal Bank of Canada, and we talked for an hour about my book. He was so turned on. And then he said, he looked at my credit scores and such, and it was right on the borderline because I already had 2 houses and I was asking for a 3rd one. And he said, I'll make sure you get the mortgage. So I just kept my mouth shut. And when the mortgage documents were all signed and we closed on that 3rd house, I came back to him and I said, why did you grant me the mortgage? He said, you wrote the book on it. Who else am I going to give a mortgage to? He was so impressed. He says, there's bad people who'll never get a mortgage. There's good people, they walk in, we just give them the mortgage right away. But most people are in this big gray area in the middle. And I get to decide. When I send your file to the underwriter, I put a note on it, I think yes or I think no. And in the big gray area, it can go one way or the other. He says, you were in the gray area. I said, he wrote a book on it, give him the mortgage. So I trotted that damn book into every bank. True story. But I'm a professional. We're not allowed to advertise. A book does not count as advertising. Professionals who are constrained, like medical doctors and lawyers, constrained on how they advertise, writing a book is an amazing advertisement, but it's not defined as advertisement, so you can do it. And you'll get clients fast. As Ursula found out, she is an accountant, and you will hear her say that clients came streaming in through her door before she finished her book.
Hey, this is Ursula. Almost immediately after I announced that I was the author of an upcoming book, I started to get invitations to do podcasts and speaking engagements, and of course I got new clients walking through my door. I love Raymond's 10-10-10 program. Raymond is amazing.
Wow, I'll say. But shouldn't I wait till I launch my business? If you're in business and you're not branded, you are experiencing struggle. Don't do that any longer. Get a book out as fast as you can. If you haven't started your business yet, thank God. Don't start a business until you have a book. Because then you'll be starting it branded and make a lot of money right from the beginning. But then people say, gee, that's so counterintuitive. I don't know much. I'll know much more in 3 years. Well, number one, why would you want to be broke for 3 years when you start your business? And number two, if you know so much then, write a sequel. But don't you dare run a business without being branded. Why would you want to earn less money? Why would you want to have people say, well, you're just an average Joe, I'll go to some other average Joe? Like, why would you want that horror? Why would you want to make pitch after pitch after pitch, get some, not get others? Why? Why would you want to lower your income? Why would you want to, on purpose, be visible? Well, I didn't do it on purpose. That's true, you didn't. But if you don't write a book, then as of tomorrow, you're choosing to be unbranded on purpose. As of tomorrow, you're choosing to have lower income. You're choosing to struggle. Up to today, you can be excused because you didn't know. You no longer have that excuse. But I don't know much. You know much more than your readers, and that's all that counts. I was a teacher in Toronto for 2 years, and one of the fellow teachers who wasn't that bright introduced me to the concept, a page ahead of the class. That's all he was, a page ahead of the class. You'll know much more than your readers. I really don't like promoting myself. Good, the book will do it for you. As Boy found out, now listen, you won't hear her clearly. She's Vietnamese living in Singapore, so she's got 2 bad accents. And she's got no lungs. She has the lungs of a little sparrow. So it's very hard to hear her, but listen. She's created the most unbelievable program that in 6 weeks you can take someone who cannot touch a piano, and in 6 weeks you're playing classical music. It's unheard of. It's the best in the world. And in 10 years, she built her YouTube subscribership up to a certain amount. Listen carefully to how it exploded in 1 week after she announced her book.
My name is Boy Ngọc. I'm the author of the book Piano Solo Method, a new way to learn to play piano within 6 weeks. And when I published my book, there are 2 miracles coming to my life. The first one is my YouTube channel from 40,000 subscribers going to 50,000 subscribers.
In 1 week.
And the second thing, I already sold 1,000 copies of my book in Vietnamese version. And Raymond Aaron, I'm so appreciative for your help, because with your help, it's so amazing and your stuff really works.
Wow. Wow. But my friends will laugh at me. Actually, they'll be dazzled, and you know it. When you have a book, clients will come running to you, suppliers will like to work for you, loans officers will give you whatever you want, investors will love you, as Amal found out. He's writing an app, a happiness app, and in 1 year, never raised 1 penny. He only needed $500,000. In 1 year of begging and pitching, he never raised 1 penny. The day he announced that he was writing a book, watch what happened.
Hello, my name is Aman Amy. I am the award-winning author of The Authority's book on life energy. I completed this book in 6 weeks with the help of Raymond's 10-10 program. And now I have lined up some investors in Sri Lanka to invest $500,000 to the company to grow bigger. Raymond's program works. Raymond is amazing. Thank you, Raymond.
Wow. Wow. Raised not a penny in a year, announced he had a book, and immediately raised the full $500,000. That's what's happening. He didn't change, the app didn't change, nothing changed, but one thing. What was the thing that changed? He didn't even write a book, he just said he was writing a book. How much does it cost? It costs as much as a small car. But if you can't afford it, you'd better do it, because If you've been working for 5, 10, 20, 30 years and you don't have a few $1,000s to rub together, you better do something different, and this is the most powerful something different you're ever going to get offered. And my legacy is this audio program. It's 6 audios, it's $3,000. I'm not offering it here, I'm just proud of it. And it helps you dramatically sell more books, and it helps the book sell you. So whatever business you're in, you'll make more sales. I just want to tell you about it. How will a book help you? Well, I'll tell you how it helped me. I have lots of residual income. I have lots of free time. Because of my books, I take a 1-week vacation every month. A 1-week vacation every month. I've got 10 slides like this, but Guillaume said don't show them, people will start drooling. But there's something even more shocking, and that is I also take a 1-month vacation every year. A 1-month vacation every year. I slept on that beach in Fiji. For a month, I went whitewater canoeing in the high Arctic of Canada. For a month, I went to the rainforest in Ecuador for a month. I had a 1-month honeymoon in the North and South Islands of New Zealand. I trekked around the Annapurna Mountains of Nepal for a month. I did 1 month of safari in South Africa. I did a double crossing of the Sahara Desert by jeep and camel for a month. I did a 4-month vacation throughout Europe, from Israel, which was never in Europe, to England, which is no longer in Europe. But somehow I still call it my European vacation. I did a 1-month detox in a sauna, and by the way, it's not as exciting as the marketing brochure seemed to indicate. I did a month in Australia, a month in Bali, a month in Croatia, but my favorite, most exquisite 1-month vacation of all was, do you want to know where? Canada. Antarctica. You know the concept of ice cubes coming up to a point? None of them do. Everyone is like a fingerprint. They're all just exquisitely, beautifully different. Beautifully. And there I took the greatest photograph I ever took in my life. Do you want to see it? Yeah, good, because I brought it. Yes, I brought my tuxedo to Antarctica. There I am with a king penguin. Behind my head is not gravel. Behind my head is 150,000 king penguins. Yeah, I'm the one on the left. So is my life the life that you want? I have no debt, I have high income, I have very high wealth, I have the sweetest marriage any man could ever imagine. My wife is an extraordinarily high income CEO of someone else's company. She is a model, an actress, and a competitive dancer. Wow, and she loves me. Wow, and I have the sexiest car on the planet, a Tesla S. Oh my gosh. You know what it can do? I have a Tesla app, and wherever I'm in the world, I can hit the summon button, and my car will wake up and drive to me. It really, it's not legal. Like Tesla can't implement it. Technologically, it can do it, but they're not allowed to implement it because if someone crashes into the Tesla, how do you sue? There's no one to sue. So lawyers won't allow it until they figure out who to sue. But it's a miracle car. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. And I have a gorgeous new home, I have high residual income, and I have lots of time to do what I like. Did I have that life at age 39? No. Do I have that life now? Yes. How many things did I change? One. What was it? That's honest to God what changed. And it's not like a fluke. I was a loser for 20 years, age 19 to age 39. It wasn't like a short-term accident or something. I was a loser, like a 2-decade loser. And then I changed one thing. I hope you're getting that message. Yes, and my program, as you've heard from one of the testimonials, is called 10-10-10. You write a book of 10 chapters of your own words in 10 hours of your own time, take longer if you wish. And here's the shocking one. You'll be holding your finished, physical, published book in your hands in 10 weeks, 2.5 months. It's amazing. It's amazing. Not an ebook. Ebook is good for lead generation in internet marketing, but you can't autograph an ebook. No one has ever said, she wrote the ebook on it. Right? Nobody. It's got to be a real physical book. And there's guarantees. There's 10 guarantees. No one will give you 10 guarantees except me. So here we go. Guarantee number 1 has to do with I don't know what to write about. So let me explain very clearly. Guarantee number 1 is I will find you the perfect target audience, the perfect topic, the perfect title, and the perfect subtitle to make sure that you sell lots of books and that the book sells you. Guarantee number 1. Guarantee number 2 is really important. It has to do with the perfect book length. Because you see, if you write a book that's too thick, people say, oh, who's got time? And you don't get branded. If you write a book that's too thin, they'll say, oh, it's just a marketing brochure. Unless you write a book of the exact right length, you don't get branded. So all the people out there who don't know anything about writing a book, they just sit down in their bedroom and go tap, 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 until God tells them to stop. And then the book's either too thick or too thin, and it doesn't work, and they don't know why the world inventory sits in their garage doing nothing for them. There are 31 marketing messages that must be in your book. How many? 31 marketing messages. If you know what they are, you'll embed them in your book. If you don't know what they are, the world inventory will sit in your garage and you won't know why. And I'll give you a perfect example. Everybody knows that a McDonald's hamburger is second class. It's got a flatbed bun, it's got a flat, dry patty. Nobody gets excited about the pickle. The pickle is the thinnest sliced pickle on the planet. They won a Nobel Physics Prize for slicing a pickle that thin. You can read a book through that pickle. It's an average, mediocre, below mediocre burger, but brilliant marketing. So it outsells every other burger in the world. If you write a book with brilliant content and no marketing, it won't sell. Do you get that? And the perfect book length is one of the 31 marketing messages. Guarantee number 3 has to do with what's the deadline to get the book done. We already know it's 10 weeks, but I'm doing something special for you. I'm giving you 1 entire year, 5 times more than you need, just to make sure that you get your book done. And guarantee number 4 has to do with when do I start making money? This is the Jewish guarantee. You start making money today. You start making money today. You call a friend and say, I am the author of the upcoming book on, and then you just say whatever the topic is. You don't know the title yet. Whatever the topic is, and they may say, how do I get an advance copy? Well, at least you made $20 on the phone call. But they might say, gee, I'm hosting an event. Would you like to be a speaker? We only have a $5,000 budget. Yeah, I'm free that day. I want you to be on my podcast. I want you to be on my radio talk show. You will not believe the action that you get from it. You start making money right from the beginning. And you might say, yeah, but Raymond, you're so positive. You don't understand me. My debts are so heavy. I'm not as optimistic as you are. Well, you can make lots more money with a book. You can afford to be optimistic when you have a book because the goodies of life come to you. And guarantee number 5 has to do with the forward scandal. So here's the surprise test. You must have a forward. Can you just pretend you remember? You must have a forward. It must be written by a celebrity, but you cannot pay for it. Great. So guarantee number 5, you'll scream, wow, I write the forward for you. And let me tell you what it looks like. There's a personal growth book that I published, The Unique You. It's kind of a cute title. And at the bottom, you can see Regina Neal, forward by Raymond Aaron, New York Times bestselling author. If they know me, they'll say, wow. If they don't know me, they'll say, wow, that you got a New York Times top 10 bestselling author to write the forward for you, and you did it without any effort whatsoever. When you have a book, you can overcome obstacles in shocking ways. With apologies to all my vegan friends. And remember, you can get there faster than me. You can get there way faster than I did when I was 39 because I'm really good and I'm really dedicated. I've already made my wealth, and now through helping people write a book, I can help you create your wealth very, very easily. You can earn your annual income in one speech, but only if you've written a book. Nobody wants you if you haven't written a book, as Raisa found out, and she's right here, my darling little client. Do you want to stand up, Raisa? She's amazing. She's amazing. Thank you. She's never been invited to give a speech before on a big stage, and as soon as she got her, well, you wait till you hear her testimony.
and I am the award-winning author of the book, Make My World a Better Place, How to Live in Peace and Harmony with Others. Do you have any goals, dreams, ideas, opinions that you want to share with the world? Then you need to write a book. For me, this was impossible without the 10-10-10 program hosted by Raymond Aaron. It's fast, easy, simple to use, and you actually get things done. With this book, I was able to gain my first speaking opportunity with the world-famous Bob Proctor, and then I'm going to have the same opportunity to speak with the world-famous Jack Canfield, all because I wrote a book. Raymond, he is amazing, and without his program, I wouldn't be able to do so many things. The age of 16, that's right, I'm 16. Thank you.
Wow! And congratulations to you. But here's the hugest. The hugest of all is you'll end procrastination. You'll end procrastination forever. Why? Because guarantee number 6 is you can have my own personal book architect, the one who makes sure that I get books written on time, working for you. And I know that you're not excited because you don't know what the hell a personal book architect is, so let me explain it for you. I had one client, it's 10 weeks to get the book done, but I had one client, Chinmay Swami, who got his book done, Run Before You Walk, in 6 weeks. So I said, oh, well, let's have a contest. And people broke the record and broke the record. And then this one cute little girl, Effie Angel Canara, wrote Get Your Sexy Back in 10 days. In 10 days. So from signing up for the program to deciding what the topic is and the target audience and the title and the subtitle and getting the chapter headings and getting the bullets within each chapter and then writing all the bullets of the chapters and getting the ISBN number, getting a publisher and getting all the elements of the cover and getting a graphic artist to put it all together and then getting the editing done and getting the formatting done and having the publisher print it and send the box to her home, and she opened the home, took the first book out and took a selfie and texted it to me. 10 days. Wow. So I figured, well, that's the end of that record. When I close the record book, the contest is over. Until, drumroll, 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 drumroll. Hallelujah. Until Emma, age 15, wrote her book from beginning to end in 4 days and took a selfie of it, #success, and sent it to me. In 4 days. Wow, age 15. So what if my book isn't published? Well, there's a big problem. Wait till you see this. Guarantee number 7 is I commit to publishing your book, and I'm the best publisher in the world. Wow. Why? Because all the other famous book publishers, they're all head officed in New York City, and they all give you a 6% royalty, which is a sneaky way of saying they keep 94% of your revenue. 94%, and you're supposed to be impressed with that. When I publish your book and I guarantee to publish it, you keep 100%. 100%. And you might say, you're not going to make any money. Well, first of all, thank you for being concerned about my financial well-being. But second of all, my publishing company is incorporated as a non-profit entity within my empire, and so I can't make money even if I want to, and I don't want to. I want all the money from all the sales on Amazon and all the sales in bookstores around the world, and in the back of your workshop and on stage and when you're on radio, everything, all the sales to go to you 100%. Wow. Thank you. And guarantee number 8, what will Raymond do if I write other books? Say, other books? Give me a break. And I had to add this because it happened without my realizing it. 1/3 of my already published authors have already published their second book. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to publish every book you ever write or any book you've already written, included in the package. Do you remember I Get You Rich, You Entertain Me? You're kind of trailing off. And guarantee number 9, how will I sell my book? This is very, very exciting. I list your book for sale on Amazon for you. Why? Because you don't know how to do it. And the odds that you're going to do it well is 0. Because there's some little tricks that you wouldn't know of. You don't know what you don't know. One of the things you don't know is, well, let me ask you a question. Do most people who go to Amazon want to buy a book or list a book for sale? Buy, of course. So when you in Canada type in Amazon.com, Amazon says, oh, those silly little Canadians. And it redirects you to Amazon.ca. And then you list your book on Amazon.ca, and Canadians can buy it, but Americans can't. People in UK can't, people in South Africa can't, people in China can't, people in India can't, and Israel can't. And you didn't even know it. There's 11 Amazons, and they don't talk to each other. You'd think that when you finish listing it, there'd be a pop-up that says, do you want to co-list it on all other English-speaking Amazons? And you'd say, yes. They don't talk to each other. It's the strangest thing. And you can't access that button because you're an author, but I'm a publisher. I can access that button, and I can say, co-list and all the others. So first of all, I do it correctly, and second of all, I list it on all of them for you. So I do a huge job, better than you, and it doesn't take you any time, and I do it correctly. Do you like that one? Yes. And here's the final one. You will love this. You will scream wow when you find out, how will I help you promote your book? And the answer is, I will host and pay for your official book launch. You don't have to beg the publisher to pay for it or to pay for part of it. I will pay for all of it. A bigger room than this typically, and I bring you up on stage. I edify you, which means I make you look good. I talk all about your book so that everybody loves you. I set up a bookstore for you at the back. You go to the back, everybody buys at least a copy of your book. You autograph it. They take pictures with you. You're a hero or a heroine for the day. It's amazing. It's very, very, very exciting. I didn't get it. I want to make sure you got it. So here's the very hugest. The very hugest is there's no risk to you. The reason people race to the back to get in is there's no risk whatsoever to you. No risk whatsoever. I give you a copy of that guarantee when you register. It's in writing, word for word, what I said on stage. And how do you get the information? Well, there's 19 home study videos. They're about 20 minutes long. They're easy to understand. I'm the star of all 19 of them. And at the end of each one, you do the work required. And sometimes it's an hour long, but sometimes it's only 1 minute long. And you submit it to your personal book architect, which I promised you. And your personal book architect will say, well done, great, keep going. And she unlocks the second video, and you play that and submit the work to her. And she says, well done, or she makes suggestions to improve it. And when you play the 19th video, you're holding your book in your hand. Wow. Wow. So the second way you get the information is a Get Your Book Done 3-day workshop. Remember I said, don't you dare purchase a program unless the guru himself is willing to come back and teach it to you. And so you can write the book completely using the home study videos, and many people do, or you can come to my Get Your Book Done 3-day workshop, which many people do. And a third way that you get the information is your personal book architect, which is your private coach. She will call you, she'll give you her Skype handle, Zoom address, her email address, her cell phone number. You contact her as often as you wish. There's no restriction whatsoever. Her only job is to get your book completed. Her only job. You can contact her anytime that you wish, and her only job is to help you. And I told you that there's a 3-day Get Your Book Done. I usually hold it only in Hawaii because if I'm not hungry at lunch, I can go out swimming in the ocean at lunch. Can't do it in Toronto. So if I'm going to hold a workshop, might as well be in Hawaii. And I want to give you an example of what happens by lunchtime on the first day of 3 days. Okay, this is lunchtime. On the first day, they already know their purpose, their target audience, their topic, their title, and their subtitle, and they know how they're going to make a lot of money at their book, and they're so proud. Do you want to see what it looks like?
Hi, what's your name? Raymond. Raymond! Yeah, hi. What do you do? I am the author of the upcoming book, Making Money Online.
Hi, what's your name? It's Alor. And what do you do?
I am the author of the upcoming book, Deliver Outside the Box.
I am the author of the upcoming book, The Birds and Bees of Joyful Monogamy.
No way! It's the 9 secrets to hot partnering. That's what you do.
I'm the author of the upcoming book, Mastering Hollywood, one prop at a time.
What's it about?
It's about how to set the stage for success in your life.
Oh my, what's your name?
Anita,
Anita, what do you do?
I'm the author of the upcoming book, Millionaire Wake Up Call.
Wow!
It's about a book on organization.
I love it.
I'm the author of the upcoming book, Invest Now. I am the author of the upcoming book.
Yes!
I'm the author of the upcoming book, The Power of Greed.
Wow! What's it about?
It's about 7 monetary saving tips to live sustainable and healthy lifestyle. I am the author of the upcoming book, 10 Ways to Increase Your Profit.
Award-winning author of the book, Run Before You Walk.
I'm 10.
You're 10, and you're here in a room full of all these adults?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
No.
No? Wow, you're brave. Tell me, what do you do?
I'm the author of the upcoming book, Kids Get Moving.
Kids Get Moving! Wow! Tell me, what's it about?
It's about your everyday guide to becoming a healthier you.
Wow!
Wow. Wow. I told you there's 31 secret marketing messages that must be embedded in your book. Don't you dare write a book on your own, because you'll leave out not just 1 or 2, you'll leave out all 31 of them, and your book will not come out the way you want. If you're still sitting there wondering, here's the best news of all. The best news of all, it's time for a change. It's time to cure invisibility. It's time to rise the ladder of wealth. It's time to make way more money. It's time to let the book do the heavy lifting for you. It's also time for a gigantic discount. So I said it was a small car. Let's be more specific. $28,000, and that's a lot of money. Have you ever seen people on stage say a number and then they drop the price later? I will probably do that too. But you need to get worried about how high the price is so that you can get excited when I drop it. Okay, I'll pretend I didn't say that. You'll escape the sea of sameness. You'll be able to climb up onto the island of individuality so that you can float effortlessly for the rest of your life down the river of relevant differentiation. Stop struggling. Stop being so exhausted. You can't go back to make a new start, but you can start today and make a brand new end. You're unique and special, pretending that you're ordinary. You're unique and special, earning as if you're ordinary. That stops today. Because there's a bonus. At your official book launch, I will make you an award-winning author by giving you a personalized award. It's hard to see there. Let me blow it up. It has your name, it has the name of the award, and it has the year on it. It's a personalized award in crystal. It's really, really beautiful. And when someone says, who did you win the award from? You say, my publisher. I won the Publisher's Award. Very, very impressive. And here's what it looks like on the book. Regina K. Neal, award-winning author. So before your book is out, you say, I am the author of the upcoming book. When your book is out, you say, I am the award-winning author of the book. It's very, very powerful. And a final discount. Why? Because it's my birthday. Yes, I'm 74, not exactly today, but close enough to today. But I noticed that there's no gifts on your lap to give me, and I figure on a birthday there should be gift giving, and so I will better give you a gift. Do you want a little gift or a big gift? Do you want a little big or big? I will make it huge. I will save you thousands of dollars. At least to one person, I'm going to save thousands of dollars. Put up your hand if you want to be that one person. It saves like a gigantic amount of money. Okay, but before I choose that one person, I want to show you Swapna. She lives right here in Toronto. She makes an extra $10,000 any weekend she wants.
Hi, my name is Swapna. I am the award-winning author of the book, Your Journey with It, 7 Powerful Steps to Create the Life You Deserve. Just because of this book, I was able to hold my very own first workshop And to my pleasant surprise, it was 100% sold out. I earned an additional $10,000 just because of this book. So thank you so much, Raymond.
Wow. Wow. And another bonus, my $3,000 award-winning Ultimate Authors Marketing Guide I will include with the package. Now, that's $3,000 value, and it helps you dramatically sell more books and helps the book dramatically sell you. And I want to help kids, so whatever I lower the price to, it's half price for kids 16 or under. Half price for kids 16 and under, because I know that when they're proud, like where Isa and that little 10-year-old boy and Emma, when they're proud, they'll never be pushed around into promiscuity or drugs or guns or gangs. Never. Their self-esteem is wildly too high. If you're a mommy or daddy or a grandmother or grandfather, you do the best you can, and then the kids, when they get temptation, you're not there. And this is the best way to protect your kids. The best way. Neighbor kids, give it as a gift. This is the best investment you could ever make in the next generation. As Emma found out. She's the one that got the record.
2 years ago, when I was 15, I published my first book, #Success, How Teens Can Create Their Own Brilliant Future. And immediately after my book was published, I started getting wild results. I went to a new school, and my book was already in the school library on display right when you walk in. People had ordered my book and were reading it, and were coming up to me when I didn't even know them and saying like I had inspired them and they were so proud of me. And I was invited to all sorts of school activities right when I was a new student because my brand was so high already from the book that I had written. And the whole process was super easy and it was super quick, and the program really, really works and it gets amazing results.
Wow. That's a wow, right? So later, I'm going to give one person a gigantic discount. Later, I'm going to give one person startling benefits. When I put the word now on the screen, your job is to race up on the stage to show that you're interested. You need to, so check your running shoes, make sure that your laces are done up. I don't want anyone tripping. When you see the word now, you get up on stage for the best discount you could ever imagine. Are you ready? Lee is ready. It's already in my program. Now! This is it. Up on stage. Whoa! Holy mackerel. Be careful, sweetie. Okay, this is your chance. What are you doing? Get up on stage. Up on stage. You don't have to jump. There's stairs on each side. Come on up on stage for giant discounts. One lucky person gets a giant discount. Come on up. Come on up. This is your chance. That side's winning. Come on this side. Come on, you lumps. Either a lump or an author. Make your decision. Come on up. Come on up. These people are authors. These people are lumps. Come on, make your decision. This is it. Come on. This is your opportunity to make it big. This is your opportunity to stop drowning in the sea of sameness. This is your opportunity to climb up onto the island of individuality. This is your opportunity to just enjoy the valley of validity. This is it. So I want you to make sure you can see the screen because there's a couple more slides that I want to show you. So authors on stage, please make sure you can see the screen. There's also my own computer that you can look at right here. Okay? And lumps, you can still watch the screen because there's still time for you to change your mind. God, I can't even see the screen myself. Okay, here we go. Being branded by your own book means amazing things can happen to you, like what happened to Dani. This is unbelievable. This is like beyond anything I've ever heard of in my life. She was chatting with someone who is a professor at a university, and she said, I'm writing a book. And he said, why don't you give the speech to the graduating class? Because you wrote a book. Here's what happened after she gave the speech. Raymond, and I'm here with one of my authors. Tell us your name and the title and subtitle of your book.
Jenny Owo, and the title of my book is Black Gold Refinery Business Made Easy.
Wow, and tell everyone where you live.
I live in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria.
Yes, now you told me something amazing because you wrote a book. Tell me what that was.
I got an offer to be given an honorary doctorate. I wrote a book.
Because you wrote a book,
Yes.
they offered you an honorary doctorate
Yes.
from a real university
Yes.
in Nigeria.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Wow, wow, wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Is that going to happen to you? No, but amazing, amazing things. Amazing things will happen to you. Being branded by your own book means you can charge way more than your competition. Are you ready for this? You can charge way more than your competition. In Toronto, for a residential home, it's $850 to remove snow for the season. Watch this.
Hey Raymond, I got some exciting news for you. Right now, I'm enrolling clients at a price that's higher than my competition. You heard it? Higher. And it's all because of your lessons on branding. I mean, just the other day, I enrolled one client at $1,100. My competition last year charged him $850. And this guy came running to me and enthusiastically signed up for $1,100. I mean, and just today, one guy, I just enrolled a new client for $1,200. And it's Raymond, you are amazing. That's all I can say. And just what Raymond says really works. I can't believe it. It's unbelievable.
Wow! 50% more than the competition, and they run to him. They run to him to pay 50% more. I told you that my Get Your Book Done workshop, I typically hold it in Hawaii, but coming up soon, April 12, 13, and 14, it's in Los Angeles. That's a lot closer and still enjoyable. But also, June 7, 8, and 9, it's right here in Toronto. So you can get started with the videos beforehand, or you can just wait till June 7, 8, and 9, and I'll make sure you write the book with me right there. And here's the last and most shocking testimonial of all. 50,000 pounds is about, I don't know, 65,000, 70,000 Canadian dollars. And he made 65,000 Canadian dollars in 1 minute before he had a book. He just had a picture of the cover. He had a picture of the cover of the book, and he made 50,000 pounds, about 65,000 Canadian dollars, in 1 minute. The most shocking testimonial of my whole life. Watch this.
My name is Nick Bradley, and I'm the award-winning author of Zero to Authentic Hero. Raymond Aaron showed me how to write a book and create a brand for myself, and I spent a few £1,000s doing that. But I wanted to get a good return on my investment. So I wanted to make tens of thousands of pounds back on that time. I went to a conference and I didn't even have a book. I hadn't even finished writing my book. So I printed the cover and I wrapped it around my notebook and I held it up, and I had one client who's paid me £50,000. And that's even before I had a book. So thank you, Raymond Aaron.
Wow! Wow, wow, wow. The most shocking testimonial. Strictly limited edition. My personal book architects have recently published 17 books. That means I can let 17 people in, and that's it. 17 can get in and no more. I can't overload my personal book architect. I told you it was $28,000, and I want to know if you want a discount. Do you want a discount? One lucky person gets a gigantic discount. It's got to be like a really big discount. Correct? Are you ready? So put up your hand if when I show you how low I'm going to discount it to, you want to be the one. Okay, put up your hand if you want to be the one. Okay, even lumps you can vote. If it's low enough, put up your hand if you want to be one. Okay, lower conversion here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. As soon as I say how low I've reduced it to, please be careful. You can jump off the front if you wish, or you can go off the sides on the stairs. But the instant I show the reduced tuition, I'm accepting 17 more people at the table. You see my cute face at the table? That's where you go. 17 only. Here we go. The reduction is 90% to only $2,800. Only $2,800. Go, go, go. Only $2,800. Go, go, go. Right where my pretty face is. Right there. Right there. And let me make it even better. My $3,000 Ultimate Authors Marketing Guide is included. That's more than the $2,800. It's as if you get the entire package for free. And let me make it even more amazing. You can do it in 4 installments of only $787, but you don't get the marketing bonus. So 4 installments of $787 if you need that help. I've created the most perfect solution. The only thing missing in the solution is you. Winning isn't everything, but wanting to win is. The people at the back want to win. The people sitting down don't want to win very much. Because if you struggle, you're not winning. You're winning when the goodies of life come to you. I'm the only book writing teacher who makes sure you make money with your book. I'm the only book writing teacher who is himself a New York Times top 10 best-selling author. I'm the only book writing teacher who has written a Chicken Soup book and a For Dummies book. I'm the only book writing teacher who gives you an official book launch. I'm the only book writing teacher who gives you 100% of your sales, not 6%. I'm the only book writing teacher who gives you a full-time coach to ensure your book gets done. I'm the only book writing teacher who will do the forward for you, who will show you how to write a great book in 10 hours, who will show you how to hold your physical published book in your hand in only 10 weeks. It's only $2,800, or there's a payment plan of 4 times $787. There's huge discounts because it's my birthday. There's giant branding. It's the easiest wealth you'll ever experience. If this is the most exciting presentation on branding and book writing you've ever heard in your life, applaud loudly and get into my program.